back to Cloud Wars Live. We are diving into the digital revolution that is having profound impacts on our professional lives, our personal lives, and everything in between, if there is any separation between professional and personal lives these days. I'm really excited today. Got a couple of fantastic guests from Google Cloud. We have Carolee Gearhart, who is the Global Channel Chief and Head of Sales for SMB for Google Cloud, and Tony Safoyan, who is CEO of SADA Systems, which I think is on quite a roll, Tony, with winning, Partner of the Year with Google Cloud.
Thank you, Bob, for having us.
Carolee, Tony, welcome. It is great to have you.
Awesome to be here. Thanks for having us, Bob.
So I was wondering, Google Cloud, Carolee, itself is on such a growth run too, and as we've seen Tony, from some of your posts on LinkedIn, SADA is also doing some incredible work as well. But I think that together, and I'd love to hear your perspectives on what is the magic that's happening between Google Cloud and SADA that allows your sort of joint customers to be able to do everything from, it's one thing to change your technology, but change their business models, in some ways change their culture, change their vision about the future, and change their sense of what's possible moving forward. How do you do that?
Well, maybe I'll jump in. I mean, I think there's elements back over to it's the combination together. But if I was to, pause for a minute and start with what do I think is some of the, the elements of Google's magic. Look, it's our cloud platform. When I think about that, it's really around how enterprises can transform. And this will be a good setup for Tony here in a minute or two. But sort of the size and scale and place of where we are from a global perspective is really incredible. We've got more than 28 regions. We've got plans for 10 more. We've got the largest network with the lowest latency of any cloud provider. So we deliver. That's built with sort of an understanding of sort of enterprise customers who can really benefit from the size and scale that, Google can deliver. And, there's this aspect of sort of the broad and deep consumer ecosystem that Google brings as well, between YouTube connecting to a global community of viewers and creators, Android, Nest, Assistant, Maps. I mean, our products that are loved around the world. And when I think about security really specifically, it's so foundational to everything that we do. We have a long history of really building that into every layer of the computing environment. And we're, the pioneers of zero trust computing. So while each of those things are sort of helpful to customers, it's the combination of them that really is transformational in my mind around what is some of that magic. And, I think you don't have to take our word for it. Customers of really all sizes are experiencing this kind of transformation from, of course, we talked about Walmart that was at Next that just went on. But, I think that's a really good setup for Tony, because I think when I think about one of the things that SADA really does bring together, that matters really, frankly, only in the context of which we're able to bring it to life on a specific customer and sort of what, the difference that it can make in their particular business. And that's where it's so important for us to partner with SADA and thinking about sort of what they can bring to the table from a customer perspective, which might be a good handoff to you, Tony.
No, I appreciate that. I mean, I think the framework, Bob, and you cover enterprise software companies and have done so for many, many years. And I think there is a delineation in a company strategy of what is the intentional role of partners in the value chain, right? And I think certainly since Carolee has come on board, but really for many years has been sort of different iterations and expressions of what that strategy has been, but never has it been more explicit, I think, from Carolee and for TK on down, that the intention is to cause transformations and experiences of the magic of Google Cloud through and with partners 100% of the time, right? And it doesn't mean in the same way in every account and with every customer, but I think Google's intention around creating not only space, but demand for the type of value that we can bring to the market is really, really important. And even though it varies, we take our role and responsibility in the go-to-market motion with Google very seriously. Like, we feel like we have a massive obligation to the market, to our customers, and to Google to deliver in key areas. And I think that it really starts with helping Google access a certain set of customers that we may have closer relationships with, to running a significant portion of the evaluation process. I always say that, like, a relatively high cost of sale is built into our business model at the core, and it's part of our strategy, and it's part of how our, I would say P&L is designed, because convincing a customer that, they can transform and do something they've never done before takes some time, and it takes a significant amount of effort. But we love playing that role, specifically because we're so passionate about the outcome. And it's because we know in this particular go-to-market with Google Cloud that this is the stack that brings the highest probability of true transformation to happen with our customers and for our customers, whether that's across Workspace, GCP, Maps, Chrome, across the portfolio. You can move to cloud with other platforms and not change as a company at all. And it's almost impossible for that to happen with Google Cloud.
So, Tony, that it's interesting how you frame that, because I think it's been now just over 2 years since your company SADA went all in with Google Cloud, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on how SADA's business has changed over that time, and particularly in the ways that you have been able to now drive new types of value for your customers, as you were just alluding to.
I think if your ambition is to be amongst the best in the world at something, I think specializing is super important. But I also think it's important to pick the horse, right? And because of so many years of experience, it was clear to us, this is the best technology. But again, that only matters if it actually makes a substantial business impact to the customer, right? And we saw it over and over again for over a decade that every customer that was going on this path couldn't help but transform in terms of collaboration, communication culture, in terms of DevOps and engineering culture, in the spirit of becoming a digital company, right? You can do lift and shift to the cloud all the time, which happens a lot, I think, in other ecosystems. That's not the Google path by default. And I think us choosing a path now with our entire executive team and over 500 people and 3,000-4,000 customers, everything we learned from them is how I think we're also able to stay ahead of the technology, because it's so rapidly evolving and changing. And it's hard to be the best in everything. And so we've chosen one thing where we feel like is the most impactful to the market, and put all of our energy, focus, and reinvestment around that.
Yeah. And Carolee, I wanted to check with you, right? Because it wasn't that long ago that you would, different people, so-called experts, were saying, oh, the cloud is going to, kill the partner thing or kill the channel, because nobody will need that. And actually, it's been quite the opposite. There's been this explosion of opportunities here. So I wonder, your thoughts on this massive transformation we've seen in the entire partner go-to-market space. What's going on there?
Yeah, well, I think, as you said, it is thriving. I think Tony just gave some great examples too of sort of the people who are thriving, the kinds of things that they are doing is really specifically about doing them really, really well. And you heard him talk about customer outcomes. When I think about the broader ecosystem and some of the changes that have gone on, I think about things like, look, you used to be a thing. You might have been a technology partner, you might have been a reseller. And I think that thinking is completely outdated at this point. Yeah. That isn't the way companies think about themselves. They think about, at least the ones, again, who are really thriving in this environment, they think about the ways in which I can transform this customer, which may involve, right? It may involve delivering solutions to them, but it may also involve, how do I bring those to life in a diverse set of ways in a particular customer environment? They may build some of their IP on it. So from our perspective, we really work to build a program that sort of allowed them to define themselves as what they are, and allows them to differentiate. And, we can talk a little bit more about how, SADA is an example of someone who's done that really, really well, about how do you deliver more skills, bring those skills to the market. But, we want to, in the same way we think about a customer, it's like, who do they want to be? We think about that from our partners. Who do they want to be? How are they going to serve customers? How can we be flexible so that we allow them to build a business that suits their strengths and allows them to really meet customers with a unique perspective that delivers and drives, value. And I think those who have been able to make that transition are the ones who understand and are focused to bringing the benefits and the ROI of a move into that customer. And in the same way Tony just referenced, it's really true that, moving a workload to the cloud doesn't transform your business, but really rethinking sort of what are the different things that are opened up? And we've seen that, on steroids, I think, in this time of like COVID. It's been, it's not like who's going to survive, but it's like folks who thrive. And so look, the partners who are able to come to the table like SADA can, and that say, here's what it would take to like reimagine this. It's not just about surviving this moment, but how are you getting in front of? And I think those who have made that transition are really well placed and can, again, make it real for a customer, deliver value to a customer.
Tony, so part of Carolee's answer there, and I think is a central part of it, is that notion of reimagination. How is Google Cloud helping SADA to go out and actually achieve some of those high-level ambitions that Carolee just outlined? I
think that the framework that's been built around all of the enablement and all of the training and all of the playbooks have been obviously extremely valuable from just a building of capabilities, right? Such that when a customer is engaged with us and with Google, like it's almost hard for them to tell apart like who's who. Like, oh, who do you work for versus who you work for? That when we achieve that, I think that's sort of a good feeling that we build, sort of build capabilities across all the different types of work at that level, whether it's sort of, change management adoption, whether it's value engineering, it's FinOps, it's data and data engineering, it's data processing, ML, AI, it's infrastructure, right? When we sort of approach the problem with the whole sort of set of capabilities using Google's playbooks, I think, like we're in the best position to deliver a unified message to the customer, which is, I think, nothing short of like confidence inducing in the customer. And then I think, frankly, and this is a huge challenge in today's environment, like we've been able to hire like some of the best people that we could ever imagine who want to come to SADA, particularly because we're working with Google Cloud. They want to be on the edge of what's possible technologically. Engineers particularly, like they want to be in the orbit of other fantastic engineers doing amazing work, because it's not just like, yeah, what do the economic packages look like? It's like, are they in an environment where they can become better engineers, right, over time? And again, I think I speak for the whole company because it's really in our charter, it's in our why as we express it, like people want to do impactful work. And I think, again, you could be in lots of ecosystems delivering and selling all sorts of other technologies, but this is the place where you're going to be on the leading edge of what's possible, because you're literally using a platform which is limited only by your imagination in terms of what you can achieve. And you get to be around, working with top Google engineers and go-to-market folks and, working with other amazing people that have joined SADA, particularly to be part of this journey. And of course, culturally, I think Google has been a huge influence on SADA. I think SADA has never been more diverse. I think SADA has never been more inclusive, more aware, like not in a way of like, we're just aware about it, but we're like channeling and cascading that level of leadership broader to the market, both in person and virtually. But like our customers are starting to feel, and I share this with Carolee because I was so proud, like we started this engagement with the customer emailed me, is like, how have you achieved such a diverse team, right? And especially in this period of time where like talent is so important, creating an environment where everyone feels like they're welcome is not only the right thing to do, but it's an absolute competitive advantage, I think.
Yeah, well, Tony, I wanted to see if we could, push on that a little bit more here, right? And on the one hand, you talked about engineers want to come to work with other world-class engineers, right? That's true. But then that larger sense of, a sense of purpose, a sense of meaning, the core values, the connecting with humanity in some ways, right? Which I think, some people believe that technology is going to push us farther apart. But what I think we've all learned over the last 20 months is, man, was it the thing that, held us together in the worst of times. So, and also, Tony, I think it's interesting that in your LinkedIn profile includes this phrase. It said that just cause to increase the capabilities of people and the performance of the organizations we serve. That, I think, that stands out today. People really get that. So if you've got a world-class talented person who can go here, 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 or here, I could see why they might want to be drawn to your company.
Well, I appreciate that. And I think credit to Google and Carolee's org for creating, I would say, the partner economic model that is conducive to us doing the right thing. Like doing the right thing for the customer is economically impossible to desegregate like from the strategy itself. Like we're working with customers on a consumption basis, right? Or a subscription basis in a world full of options. The necessity to prove value and deliver value is actually in the construct itself. So even if we didn't have like the best intentions, which of course I feel that we do, the model would guide us eventually to land in a place where we can definitively prove that we continue to deliver value. Because if we don't, they'll stop spending and then we're out of business, right? Like it's a very direct line to delivering value to customers and long-term success. And I think partly because of the available construct, like if Carol Lee's org didn't provide the construct around MSP and consumption economics, like there's no way it would work as well as it's working. There's no way we could continue to grow in the way that we're growing, because our drive towards delivering the cause actually has the economic benefit built into it. So it's sort of not something that's, I think, very well understood by everyone because of what Carol Lee said, the traditional silos of like, you're a reseller, you're a distributor, you're an ISV, you're just a services. I think those are all breaking down. But if you bring together those core components of the value chain, where you are a managed services provider, an excellent delivery organization, and you understand ISVs, like that is, I think, the best customer experience possible.
Yeah. Carol Lee, does that resonates there clearly with you, right? Because it's somehow, Google Cloud seems to have been able to bring together not just, world-class technology, but this sense of purpose that both you and Tony, I think, embrace very closely.
Yeah, no, and I think that's really important to us. I mean, Tony talked about sort of the way we show up to customers and sort of what it looks like as kind of one team. And I think that one team, you're certainly made more of a team with the sense of like a shared value and purpose that you're referencing. And look, Google has some like great goodness to build on in that regard. I know one of the reasons when it was like, why would I like show back at a really big company again? And look, making the world's information like useful, valuable, accessible to people everywhere is something, I loved a library when I was a kid, and I love it even more now because now like the library is the world, it's sort of like what you have access to. And I think about that when I think about what we're able to bring to folks from a cloud perspective is sort of, look, wherever you are in the world too, to be able to unlock and have access to this kind of technology, as Tony said, like on a consumption basis, I mean, it's super compelling. I mean, the things that it can do to change people's lives is amazing, and kind of all kinds of creative ways that we saw too. And SADA was a great example of some of the things they did in terms of COVID, of like making information available about sort of what could go on in hospitals. I mean, there's lots of ways that comes to life. And I think it is also connected really deeply too, Tony referenced in terms of just the idea of inclusivity, but everything, there's like a whole business model as well that is about this sort of, it is a sense of purpose that aligns around sort of making a transformational experience for customer and for their customers, right? So it's not just for them, but it's the way then they in turn are able to show up in the market. And that's really important to us.
Yeah, we're about out of time, folks, but Tony and Carol Lee, I wanted to offer each of you a final word here. Tony, how about you first, and then Carol Lee?
Well, first of all, thank you for the opportunity to do this, and I always love sharing the stage and the virtual couch with Carol Lee. I think in a lot of ways, the ecosystem has matured, and the way that I mean is sort of we're at the point where Google Cloud is always at the table. Cloud is seen as the strategy to transform and to become digital, and I think accelerated by the pandemic and everything else that's gone on. And I also think that we have an immensely long road ahead where the best is yet to come. And I do feel, again, a tremendous amount of responsibility to our existing customers and our future customers of delivering the absolute best, all in, never give up type of partnership experience for us and Google together, such that 1 + 1 = 5 every time. And And everything that we do and every strategy we deploy and everything we release is geared exactly towards elevating value to customers in a way that's clearly better together.
Well, fantastic. Carolee?
Look, I think we've all, like, the world is never going to be the same. It has changed now. And I think that really creates, the moment is now. I know when I first arrived at Google, I like, honestly, I was shocked because I kept turning around like, wow, there's a new product. Like, there's a new product. I was used to being like, you're at a technology company, you're talking about it for like 18 months, you're talking about what it's going to be. And then it's like, it's just a few more months late, et cetera. Now it was like every time I turned around, there was a new thing that I had to go figure out, what is this? And so, I think what it really means is we are focused in on delivering a partner community too that has the kind of depth that folks like SADA have, that really knows and sort of gets under the covers and understands how to unlock all of that. So I think, look, the moment is now. The world is changed. It's not going to go back. And so it's really about, how do you think about where that's going? How do you thrive in this? And I mean, please, 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 we've got so many toys in our toy box, right? Come check them out. Get the right guide to help you unlock them. And like, let's change the world together.
Right. Perfect thought. Wonderful. Well, Carolee, Tony, thank you so much. What a great discussion. Very uplifting, and really, really enjoyed this opportunity to hear from Google Cloud's partner chief and also one of its very top partners. So thank you both so much, Carolee and Tony.
Thank you, Bob. Thanks, Carolee.
Yeah, my pleasure. Great to see you both.
All right. Thanks to all of you folks for being with us here. I hope things are going great for you. We'll see you next time.